So in a healthy HVAC business, 65 to 75% of your headcount should be revenue producing. If the number slips, your cost structures change, whether you feel it or not. So let's break down how to calculate this, and why it matters more than, most of the other HR metrics. So here, what we have is we have a data set. And if you want this data set with, if you want this whole file with my completed solution and everything, there's a link, or you can just shoot me an email. But essentially what we have is we have a role here. And based on this role, it could be billable or not billable. Like an installer is billable, but customer service rep is not billable, right? You can't bill their hours to the client. And so what we need to do is we need to have, say, something like a classification system. So these are billables and these are not billables. And so in order to do that, we need to get a unique list of the role. So equals unique, and then go and get the role. And then now what we can see is service. So all of these top four are billable. Service manager, like these other ones are not billable, right? Okay, so then from here, what we can do is in the data set, we need to calculate this column here. And it's simple. Simple VLOOKUP equals VLOOKUP role service technician, and then just, comma 2, comma 0. And so you have the classification here, because now we can do the sum or the counts and everything based off of if it's a 1 versus if it's a 0. So I'll delete this because we already have it. And then now we need to get a unique list of this, and then count the number of ones by month, and then count the number of zeros as well to get billable and then non-billable. And then we have a percentage of both, and then we can create this chart. What I'll do is I'll just copy this, and you can just type it out. I'm just trying to save a couple seconds. And then paste that over. So to get a unique list of the month equals unique, and then data, and then month end here. And then I'll just format that as a short date. And then I'll just center everything. So now we just have to count. You can count or sum, because, the count of 5 ones is the same as the sum of 5 ones. But what I'll do for this one is I'll just sum, because in the next one I'll do a count. So SUMIFS, and then data here, comma, month end here, comma, and then cell B3 here. So you can see there's 13. You double click and it goes down, and so it's just summing the number ones, which is the same as counting. But the reason why I did SUMIFS here is because now I'll do COUNTIFS, because we actually really can't do SUMIFS because it would sum zeros and you would get 0. But if we count the number of zeros, then that'll tell us how many are non-billable. So again, billable, COUNTIFS, billable, comma, 0. So now how many times does 0 show up? And how many rows is there a 0 here and January 31 here? So here, comma, and then cell B3, right? It's right here. Yeah, and that's it. And from now, everything else is just, pretty basic math. So the billable percent equals this divided by the sum of these two, right? And that's your percentage. And then for non-billable, you could do equals 1 minus this. That's one way to do it. Or you could do equals this divided by the sum of these two, right? You'll get the same number. And then Control-Shift-5, and then double click. And then now you can see the different percentages. And then we have a target. What do we put it at? 60? So you could do 60% here, and then underneath it do equals, the one above it. And then now you have a dynamic changing cell. So this will be your dynamic changing cell. And then to create the chart, we want a stacked column chart. So I'm going to highlight the month, and then I'm going to highlight these two here. And then go to insert, and then recommended. And then you can start to sort of see like which one you want. But this is called a stacked column chart. If you don't see it there, then you can go to all charts. You could go to column, and then you could go to stacked column. You could also do 100% stacked column. And we'll use this one just because the top axis is 100, because it's going to equal 100, but you can do either one. And then we have that here, And so that is how you, let me get the title, and then I want to show the target and how to add the target. So for the target, all you have to do is just highlight target, Control C, click in the chart, and then click Control V. And you'll notice that it's not working as expected because you need to tell it to be something else. We don't want it to be part of the column. So I'm going to click in the chart, go to chart design, change chart type, go to combo, go to all charts and then combo. And then here we want the stacked column. So 100% stack column, 100% stack column, and there's the target line. And yeah, that's essentially how you do it. So I'm going to click on this, double click, just to make it a little bit smaller. So we're going to make it, let's say, black. And then you can leave it like that if you want. I mean, however you want. I'm going to make it a little dot and maybe make it just a little bit smaller. And now you can see your billable versus non-billable. So anytime the blue column is below the line, that's telling you, but below the black line, that's telling you that you're not reaching your target. But maybe 65 is too aggressive for you. If you want 60, then you can see, some of these winter months, you do have it above. And say for whatever reason, 55, you can see, it's changing. That's the benefit of making this the way it is. And so yeah. Anyways, that's how you calculate this one. Pretty straightforward. I mean, again, I know the hardest part with any of this stuff is getting your data structured, but this is pretty basic. You should be able to have something like this, and then you can just put a 1 or a 0, using the lookup table that I showed you how to do earlier, which is easy enough. And so yeah, if you have any questions on this one, databoards.io. And then if you want this file, with the solution and the formulas and all that stuff, there's a link. If you can't find it, then a link to download it. If you can't find it, then just shoot me an email. And if you need some help, calculating these KPIs or getting your data, in a usable structure, then there's a link to my calendar, or you can just, again, shoot me an email. It's going to be questions@databoards. But that's it on this one, and I will see you in future videos.